If you see me moving around rather slowly this morning, it's because I'm in the midst of a rather extensive home repair do-it-yourself project, and I'm using muscles that I never even knew I had. And my knees are sore, and it's not from being on my knees praying. It's from being on my knees screwing in screws in boards. What I'm doing is I'm tearing down and rebuilding a 700 square foot deck, mostly by myself. And the deck I'm replacing is about 20 years old, and that's about the lifetime for a wood deck. The boards have begun to rot away, nails have begun popping up. Generally, it's pretty ugly. And for the past few years, I've been doing patch-up work on the deck. I've stained it, waterproofed it, replaced boards, power washed it, and pounded down the nails that seem to spring up like dandelions in the spring. Well, my wife Mary, on numerous occasions, said that she thought we needed a new deck. And after several more rounds of staining, washing, pounding nails, and replacing boards, I finally agreed, which is a good thing to do in marriage, and I got some bids for companies that did decks. Well, I had sticker shock when I saw how expensive it was going to be to replace the deck. Guess what I did? I resumed staining, washing, pounding nails, replacing boards. But then last summer, and those of the staff will probably remember this, we had a CSC gathering at our pool, and one of the CSC interns stepped on a board that I missed with my patch job, and his foot went right through the deck. Well, I knew that that was not something that was supposed to happen, so I knew the time had come for change and that the deck had to go. Well, I started my planning after I closed the pool in the fall, and I went about it in my usual compulsive manner. I researched online different natural and artificial manufactured products that were on the market. I looked at the pros and cons of cedar planks, treated lumber, composite boards, vinyl boards, and something called HDPE plastic. And I began driving myself crazy with my uncertainties about what to do. I had decided to do the project myself to save money, and then I began to question whether I was in my right mind. A 66-year-old social worker and deacon, did he have the knowledge and the expertise and the skill and the stamina to pull this off? Well, in spite of my fears, I bit the bullet and I began to demolish the deck late in February. So I tore down the old deck myself, had it hauled away, and then I looked at the emptiness around the pool where the deck had been, and I had a mixture of pride and horror. I thought, what have I done? I was going to name the new deck Humpty Dumpty, because all the king's horses and all the king's men were not going to be able to put this sucker together again. So, well, I did rebuild the deck frame. I poured some concrete and laid some brick with the help of my friend, and then I began to affix the 700 square feet of plastic boards that were delivered just this week that I just saw weighed 5,000 pounds. I was surprised. These boards came in with a 50-year warranty, so I don't have to worry about building another deck until I'm 116, so, if all goes well. So, well, this do-it-yourself project makes me think of where we all are in this last week of Lent in this week that we call Holy. We walked with Jesus on his journey from the Last Supper of Holy Thursday, along the way of the cross on Good Friday, to the tomb on Holy Saturday that would be gloriously found empty on Easter Sunday. And my deck remodeling project has become my personal metaphor for my Lenten journey. So I encourage each of you to think about your lives, and maybe you'll come up with your own personal metaphor for your Lenten journey. And if you don't have one, you can borrow mine. But you got to help me with the deck. So I encourage you to get your own. Well, each year, the church gives us this blessed season of Lent to help us examine our lives as we slowly, ever so slowly, grow into the Easter people we are destined to become. The journey really began with our baptisms, when we were told that we were sons and daughters of God and heirs to the kingdom of heaven. But of course, all of us to some degree have forgotten who we are and ceased behaving like beloved children of God. And instead of making preparations for our expected inheritance, We made of our lives a dwelling of our own choosing, constructed of the worldly materials of power, prestige, and possessions. And we convinced ourselves that all was well. Yet a house built of such materials has many flaws, and it's destined from the outset to rot away and decompose. Well, at first we probably all did what comes so naturally to we people who were tainted with the stain of original sin. We ignored the reality of the flaws and deficiencies and pretended that what was not okay in our lives was in fact okay. We tried to lessen our addiction to the sense of superiority our power over other people gives us, to the false sense of security we get from our possessions, and to the false sense of self-worth that we got from our prestige. Yet God gave many of us, if not all of us, the gifts of pain and loss to bring us to our senses and to discover the futility of a life built on a foundation of total preoccupation with myself, my needs, my pleasures. Well, during Lent, we get smacked right in the kisser with an understanding that a house built on this kind of foundation is doomed to fall, and a life built on this kind of foundation is doomed to end in death. We are given the experience of Jesus himself, who surrendered his natural human life to make room for the supernatural life of resurrection, a life of perfect joy, perfect glory, a life that truly comes with a lifetime warranty that stretches from here to eternity. This is a life that will never wear out and one that will never need to be replaced. So on Holy Thursday, we celebrate the supreme act of the self-giving of Jesus, who feeds us with his own body and blood. Jesus invites us to give of ourselves as he has given to us. So we enter into this sacred mystery as we respond to his command, do this in memory of me. And on Good Friday, we experience the death of that which is impermanent, so that room might be made for that which is permanent. Nothing rises unless something dies. It was true for Jesus, and it's true for us. And all the demolishing of the old, the dismantling of the false self that is based on the worldly principles of power, prestige, and possessions will be swept away. And we will know the Easter meaning of the one who said, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." And we will finally remember what we always knew, that we are beloved sons and daughters of God and heirs to the kingdom of heaven. But for now, we continue our Lenten journey.